Alright, this is the video on consecutive integers in word problems with quadratic equations. So the first thing we need to do is review the concept of consecutive integers. Consecutive means in a row, and integers are your positive and negative counting numbers, like 1, 2, 3, and then -1, -2, -3. So an example of consecutive integers would be, so let's say we started with 4, the next one would be 5, and the next one would be 6. Okay? Now the idea is if I start off with 4, to get to 5, I just take 4 and add 1 to it. And if I started off with 4 to get to 6, I take 4 and add 2 to it. So if I didn't know what number I was starting with, let's say I called it x. The next number in the list would be that number plus 1. So that's x plus 1. And the next number would be in the list would be the x, the starting number, x plus 2. So when we write consecutive integers, these are going to be how we represent them algebraically. X, x plus 1, x plus 2. Next, are consecutive even and odd integers. So for example, if I started off with an even number like 10, and I wanted to get the next consecutive even, it would be 12. And the next consecutive even after that would be 14. Okay? So to get from 10 to 12, I'm adding 2. I'm taking 10 and I'm adding 2 to it. To get from 10 to 14, we're taking 10 and we're adding 4. So if you think about what this means, is if I start off with an unknown even number, x, the next even integer would be that number, x, plus 2. And the next one would be the original number, the x, or the 10, plus 4. And this is how we'll represent consecutive even integers. What's interesting is that odds work the same exact way. So if I start off with an odd, so for example, if I started off with 21, and I go to the next consecutive odd, which is 23, the next consecutive odd, which is 25, 21 plus 2 is 23. 21 plus 4 is 25. So consecutive odds work the same way as consecutive evens. If I start off with x, the next one is going to be that number, whatever it was, plus 2. And the next number is going to be the x plus 4. Okay? So if you want to summarize all this, okay, there's a little chart on your paper, at the top of your paper to summarize. Consecutive integers. If I don't see the words even or odd, I'm going to have my x plus 2. Sorry, whoops, that's wrong. If it's just consecutive integers, it's going to be x plus 1, and x plus 2. If it's consecutive, and you should write this at the top of your paper, where you have the boxes, consecutive even or odd integers, you're going to have x plus 2, and x plus 4. So please write these at the top of your paper. Alright, we are on to finding two consecutive integers. So now we have two consecutive integers whose product is 90. And since this is a word problem, we're going to separate our paper into 3 columns, like so. The first column is for the setup. But the setup is easy. consecutive integers, and we have two of them. So you always let x be the first consecutive integer. My abbreviation for consecutive integer is CI. And x plus 1 will be the second consecutive integer. Now this is a little new for us. We want the product to be 90. The word product means multiplication. So I want to take these two guys, the consecutive integers, and multiply them, and I have to equal 90. So when I multiply x and x plus 1, the x plus 1 is coming with two terms. I have to remember to surround it with parentheses, and that equals 90. And now we'll distribute. So we have x squared plus x equals 90. Now notice this is a quadratic. It has a square term in it. So now I have to move everything else to that side. It's like the celebrity. So I'm moving. The 90 is not on its side. So I'm going to subtract 90 from both sides of the equation. And now we have x squared plus x minus 90 is equal to 0. And now we can factor. This is an IM problem. So something times something equals negative 90, and something plus something equals a positive 1. And the magic number pairs that work for this are 10 and negative 9. And that you need to think of. So this is x plus 10 times x minus 9 equals 0. And then we will use our t-chart. So you have x plus 10 equal to 0 and x minus 9 equal to 0. And therefore x could be negative 10 or x could be 9. Interesting. We get two answers. They're both integers. Integers can be positive or negative. So what's going to happen is we're going to actually have two sets of answers. Because if we start off with negative 10, so if x was negative 10, the other consecutive integer was negative 10 plus 1, which was negative 9. Okay? Then if we start off with 9, the next consecutive would be 10. So there are two sets of answers, negative 10 and negative 9, or 9 and 10. They're both consecutive, and if you take the product, if I multiply negative 10 times negative 9, I'll get 90. If I multiply 9 and 10, I'll get 90. All right, number 5. Find two consecutive even integers whose product equals 6 more than 7 times the first even integer. So we're finding two consecutive evens this time. So our setup column is going to be a little different. I'm going to let x be the first consecutive even integer. And then x plus 2 will be the second consecutive even integer. If I'm doing evens, I'm counting by 2's. All right. Now, the product of those two consecutive evens, the product, when I multiply them to, equals 6 more than 7 times the first even integer. So this gets a little crazy, but we have to handle it. So the product equals, there's my equal sign, the product of the two is x times x plus 2 equals 6 more than, 6 more than, 6 more than, is I'm going to add 6 to something, 6 more than, 7 times the first. 7 times the first is 7 times the first, which is just x. So now I have my equation, and I'm going to solve this. So I'm going to distribute x squared plus 2x equals 7x plus 6. And now I have my quadratic. I have my celebrity on the left, and I have other stuff on the right. I'm going to move everything over. So I'm going to subtract the 7x and the 6. So now I have x squared positive 2 minus 7 is negative 5x minus 6 is equal to 0. And now I can factor the x squared minus 5x minus 6. And this will factor into x minus 3 times x minus 2. You should be able to do that on the side. And now, well, that's wrong. I'm sorry. That's totally wrong. Whoopsie. Sorry. Going ahead of myself there. Sorry. The correct factorization, x minus 6 times x plus 1. And then, make our t-chart. X minus 6 is equal to 0. So x equals 6. X plus 1 is equal to 0. So x equals negative 1. Now here it's important to realize that I asked you for even integers. So 6 is even, we keep him, but negative 1 is odd, so we reject him because he's odd and we want it even. So 6 is our first consecutive even integer, and then we want to find the two of them. So the next consecutive even integer would be 6 plus 2, which is 8. And this time there's only one set of answers. There's 6 and 8. All right, we're going to do one more. So find 3 consecutive positive even integers. So I'm setting up. Now notice I'm making my middle column a little wider. So 3 consecutive positive even integers. So consecutive evens, we have 3 of them. So we're going to start off with x is the first one. X plus 2 is the second. X plus 3 is the third. X plus 4 is the third. Such that the product of the second and the third integers is, there's my equal sign, 20 more than 10 times the first. So the product of the second and the third, means multiplication. So I'm going to take the second integer, which is this guy here, and the third integer, which is this guy here, and I want to multiply them together. And by doing that, I have to surround them with parentheses. So I have x plus 2 times x plus 4 equals is 20 more, so I'm going to add 20 to something, then 10 times the first. Well, the first is just the x. So if I want to do 10 times that, I'll just write 10x. And now I have to distribute all this out, FOIL if you will. Okay, so I have x times x, which is x squared, x times 4, which is 4x, 2 times x, which is 2x, 2 times 4, which is 8. This equals 10x plus 20. And now I'm going to combine my like terms, so I have x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 10x plus 20. And now it's clear I have my quadratic on the left, so I'm going to move all the other terms over. That's like my celebrity. So I'll subtract the 10x and I'll subtract the 20. And we'll end up with x squared. 6 minus 10 is negative 4x. 8 minus 20 is negative 12. And that equals 0. And now we can factor. So we get x minus 6, if you do this correctly, and x plus 2. I trust that you know how to do this by now. And then t-chart this up. X minus 6 is equal to 0. So therefore x would have to be equal to 6. And if x plus 2 is equal to 0, by subtracting 2, x would be negative 2. Now here's where the third column is really important. We have to go back and answer the question. We wanted 3 consecutive positive even integers. Well, 6 is positive, so I'll keep him around. But 2 is negative, so I'm going to reject 2. Negative 2, rather. Reject because he's negative, and they wanted positive. So we're going to start off with 6. 6 is our first consecutive even. So 6, and we wanted 3 of them. So 6, the next one would be 8, and the next one would be 10. And that's it. And now you should be able to do any problem like this based on these 3.